This is gonna be the show where the Fallen King, aka Paul, takes over. We got a couple of topics in our minds, and I think it's up to you to kind of intro the people that are in the show and get us rolling. So there you go.
Okay, I got my fiance speaker name.
Hi, my name is Javon.
Don't be nervous. And then we got Upward Ninja.
Yeah, the usual.
Oh yeah. And then which topic are we talking about first? Are we talking about the guy that got 99 years?
Yeah, we can go. We got three topics today. Looks like we got 99. Guy who got 99 years for kicking a police officer. We're gonna talk a little bit about a girl who lied about getting her dreads cut off. And finally, we got our man Kanye West, Make America Great Again himself, talking releasing a new album yesterday. Our thoughts on it. Is he going in the right direction? And is this all just for some kind of weird publicity to kind of pull in the Christians? Is his heart in the right place? Who knows? So let's just start with the guy getting 99 years. Actually, the fallen king, Paul himself, brought this story to my attention. I have not heard about it at all. I got a little bit of the story through Google searching. I see it was a repeated offender, basically kicked a police officer while drunk and got the highest possible charge for assaulting an officer of 99 years in prison, and he's eligible for parole in 24 years.
Oh my
So
god.
let's talk about that insanity. We've seen things where people have killed other people, molested kids, uh, what else? Robbed banks, and they have not gotten close to 99 years, not even double digits in some instances. We're talking 7, 8, 9 years. So, what do you think the reasoning, other than him being a repeat offender, for giving him the 99 years? Is it to make an example out of him, or do you think
It
it's just to
it was
is it,
definitely to make an example out of him. But I'm shocked because the guy was white. I thought he was black before
I
I
did too when I heard
heard
this
the story.
story. Yeah.
I'm like, damn, they locking up another brother.
Yeah.
What did you thought about this when you first heard the story?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't really that surprised. I thought it was another example of just the crooked justice system, really. Like, you hear about people who cheat the system, pay, bribe people. They get 2 weeks in jail or no jail time. And yet we have a man who was drunk and kicked a police officer and got 99 years in prison. Not to mention the story that just came out 2 weeks ago about the white lady going in someone's house and actually shooting the man and only getting 10 years for murder. So, once again, I just think it's another example of the justice system being corrupt.
Yeah, and this is the conspiracy theorist in me coming out, but I think this is actually getting the people ready, social conditioning for police states. The police can do whatever they want, lock away anybody that they want. It's just like, the Patriot Act, and we have um we have movies and stuff that show it all the time where this person was deemed an enemy of the state. They can be taken, locked away in these camps, never to be seen again. And
I
this,
got a question for you, Ninja.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you think this could be a new form of slavery coming to a theater near you?
Oh yeah, I mean, look at like stuff that the Russians did with the gulags, work camps. They're doing it in North Korea. That kind of stuff might not be too far away from us as Americans. We're all three living in America here, and yeah, like you were saying, 99 years for kicking a police officer. Obviously, an egregious charge. So maybe this might be like getting the people used to the justice system, doing whatever they want, capturing whoever they want, and giving them whatever sentence they want unless they 100% obey every. It's not even about obeying the law. You have to completely submit, mind, body, and soul to the government. Of course, this is all a theory here. I can't say for certain, but just seems a little bit sketchy here. The whole thing could be a hoax for all we know. But it's still ingrained in your mind. It's still getting you thinking. It's still controlling you even to that degree, right?
I think I gotta disagree with you, Upward Ninja, because um, I mean, I think the conspiracy theory of a police state could be true, but I think that the fact and the idea of like locking up um, people for excessive amounts of time is something that's been going on since this country was founded. So, I mean, it could be a conspiracy, but I don't know. I just think that this is something that's been going on for a long time.
But I never ever in history heard somebody getting 99 years for kicking a police officer. I think
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
transforming something.
Yeah, it comes in stages, like you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Fallen King. So, yes, people have been falsely imprisoned since the beginning of the country, like you were saying.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, we're going to see a lot more instances of it. Maybe now, this might be like the catalyst for other people getting locked up for extremely long periods of time. I don't know how you feel on the matter, but we've seen instances happen in the past couple of years where they're obviously fake. You know, you have events like Sandy Hook where you've seen, and we're going to get flagged down for saying this, but you've seen these alleged dead kids singing during the Super Bowl. The same kids that they said that they had died previously. And I have a theory that they actually want somebody to do a real mass shooting. This is something that you really have to look into. You can't just dismiss it as, insanity here. But there's a lot of evidence to prove that these so-called terrorist attacks, shootings, things of that nature are actually fake. But they may want to get some guy who's unhinged to actually do it. You can even look at the Joker movie that just came out a couple of weeks ago. They were saying, "Oh, we hope nothing happens," suggesting that, hey, if you do something at the premiere of this movie, you will become immortalized as the real life Joker. It's like one of those things where the power of suggestion is a lot more sinister than most people would think.
Yeah. Talking into existence.
Yeah, exactly. It's like subliminal programming, right? To the weak-minded people. It's like, and there was a guy who claimed to be the Joker, right? In for Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
In Colorado. So,
Yeah.
and we don't know if we don't know if that's real or not, but they're hoping one day that, hey, we're gonna some guy who's completely unhinged is gonna actually start shooting up people. And then they have to, the vast majority of the people are gonna start begging the government to take away certain civil liberties, right? Second Amendment, you hear a lot about that now. Second Amendment right to bear arms, if you didn't know. And that may be going away soon. Thoughts?
Yeah, I absolutely hear you. I see and I believe that it's so important to be informed and not to just take everything, especially that you hear from the media, just at face value. But I think the Sandy Hook shooting, just me personally, I believe that that did happen. And I'm not like I hear you. I just don't want to like disrespect anybody's memory and all that stuff. But
Yeah, I hear that a
I'm gonna
lot. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
want to
I just
disrespect the dead, right?
yeah. I mean, but I get you. Um, it sounds too convoluted to me. Especially like with the whole Second Amendment thing. Like Second Amendment right to defend ourselves is very important. But um, especially if, in my opinion, if we have people dying from these like mass assault weapons and things, I definitely think something should be done about that.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, if it is real, which I highly, I'm not even gonna entertain the idea. I'm pretty set on the idea that if not 100%, 99% of them are fake. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I don't know how Paul feels about this. He could probably explain it to you, but I'm set. I'm almost set on it being fake. It's just too much overwhelming evidence that these things never happen. I mean, we can take really any of the examples. Sandy Hook, for example, where no bodies ever shown. The what's the guy's name who did it? Adams, whatever. Is that him? Uh,
I,
this guy this guy has like his parents have ties to the government. He could be some kind of agent or something that come forward with as an actor to do this. The kids showing up at the Super Bowl. It's just ridiculous.
I believe that it happened, but I believe maybe these people were programmed. Maybe the government signed them to do this. I don't know, but I do believe the incident did happen.
So you believe that the people actually died and all this?
Yeah, but I believe that it could be like a different type of power that started this situation that they don't want to tell us about.
Have you seen the video clips of the alleged fathers of the students laughing and joking before they went on interviews talking about their dead kids? And then they just immediately went from laughing and joking to crying. Have you seen those videos? Just curious.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen that video, but I do know one of the fathers. After the shooting, he went around and kind of spoke on behalf of like gun violence and wanting to get like these assault weapon bans passed. But he actually ended up committing suicide, and they said that that was related in part to just the doubt surrounding how whether the whole shooting happened. So personally, I don't know. I think that it actually did happen, but whether there's like some sort of like nefarious action behind why, I don't know. But I do think that people can believe what they want to believe, but at the end of the day, like if however many kids died, like I don't know. I think it's kind of I don't want to say disrespectful, but I think it's kind of like uh, I guess I don't even know the word, but I think it's kind of messed up to doubt that these kids lived and died this way.
Do you
I'm loving this.
Yeah, do you think it's weird that one more question? Do you think it's weird that all these shootings happened in succession like they are now? Like, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I grew up in the 90s and I remember what one or two alleged mass shootings. And now it's like they claim 200 in a year or something crazy like that.
It is a lot. It's a lot of mass shootings. I don't know. I think it's weird, but I don't know if it's a conspiracy. I think we're living in dangerous times. I also think that we have the 24-hour news cycle that we didn't have in the 90s, and there's also social media, and so there's things are way more publicized now than they were back then.
Okay, so but the numbers though, we can look the numbers up, and the alleged numbers are actually increasing by a lot. I assume by living in dangerous times, you just mean people are getting more violent.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm loving that it's a conspiracist versus a person that's not.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with the back and forth, but
I love it.
If a person just denies all the evidence, that's where I get like, might want to look into this kind of stuff.
You could show her all type of evidence. She's gonna believe everything CNN fake news tell her. She watched CNN. No, she watched fake news, so she's gonna believe them no matter what evidence you show her.
Yeah, I mean, we can go deep with this. We can go deep with nukes being fake. We can go deep with.
I don't believe in nukes.
Exactly. Yeah, nukes aren't real. It's just firebombing. What was that?
They would have been blowing up this world if
it's just fear-based control at this point. So they can say, "Oh, these people have nukes. We have to villainize them and go after them." And of course, we know. I mean, I even have certain theories that North Korea is not even real. I know that sounds insane, but there's been so many parody movies, jokes being made showing that the propaganda is just essentially a stage for. I see the Luke Skywalker in the back. That kind of scared me. But
my girl wants me to get rid of it.
Yeah, but anyway, North Korea being a stage for essentially all these world leaders to meet up and discuss the evil things that they're going to be doing. And yes, definitely you should get rid of the Luke Skywalker thing. It's kind of weird.
That's the Empire Strike Back standing. How could I get rid of that?
Just put it in a closet or something.
But I definitely believe that there's no such thing as nukes.
Yeah,
especially if you believe in God, like God would never give a human being that much power to destroy the world. I don't believe that. Do you believe in nukes, honey?
I do.
Oh, geez.
I do. I don't know if there's one like powerful enough to destroy the whole world. But I definitely think a lot of damage can be done.
What about? I mean, we could go further, bigger with this flat Earth. We've talked about. Me and Fallen King Paul has talked about that. What are your thoughts on the flat Earth movement?
No. So personally,
I believe that is flat. It is fucking flat.
I'm not here to disrespect anybody's belief, but I really believe that's not very intelligent.
You rode on that airplane before, have you?
I have.
Have you ever looked down?
Oh my God.
Have you ever looked down? I'm serious. Have you ever looked down? Did it look squarish?
Yeah, there are actual pilots that have said the Earth is flat, and they go based off of what do they call flight patterns, certain flight patterns to make the world look bigger than it is.
Yep.
Because you have to think, why can't you fly over this airspace? Like, why is this restricted airspace? It doesn't make sense. It should just be open. You should be able to just fly straight. We could look at a map right here and say, let's say you're flying from New York to Italy, right? It should just be a straight shot. But instead, you have to fly like down and then up, back up. It doesn't make any sense. If you pull out a map right now and look at the flight patterns, I mean, it should definitely not take, 13 hours to fly overseas going, I don't know how fast, 200, 400 miles per hour. I don't know how fast the average commuter plane goes, but it should definitely be like, I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it just doesn't make sense to go downward and then go up and say, oh, see, it took us forever because the Earth is spherical and we have to fight against the rotational force and blah, blah, blah. It sounds like fake science nonsense to me.
Well, I think that I know that the Earth is round.
I like how you switched it up. Have you been to space? Is space real?
No one really knows that.
Yeah, no one really knows. We were talking about this yesterday.
This was proven.
It is not
definitively that the Earth is spherical. It is a globe. It's a sphere.
No.
One thing that I have to ask you is, why haven't something like space travel been commercialized? Because if the government can monetize something, they will do it. And they're telling us that shitty 1960s technology cannot be recreated in 2019.
I think that's because we lack the political will to do space travel.
Oh, geez.
Back to Paul. Oh my goodness.
I don't think it's the fact that we can't, or it's something that they're trying to hide from us. I just think that we don't want to. I mean, why?
Hell out of here. Why would we not want to go? And travel further.
As I said at the beginning, I said if the government can monetize something, they will do it. Can you imagine the prices that people would be willing to pay to go to space right now?
Yep. A lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, that's like one of the base reasons. And then the other reasons, just human knowledge, human expansion, human exploration. People would definitely want to claim that land. They would go to the moon. They would go to this place. People would be claiming just huge empty spaces of, space.
Why was the film shot in CGI if it was real?
Oh my goodness.
What was it shot in CGI?
Yeah, they actually claim that the cameras, because cameras can't work in space, right? Because it's all about light refraction. So using their science, that kind of makes sense. They can't take pictures. But at the same time, it's like, couldn't you find a way to at least use some kind of simulated light? Because they have simulated gravity in these so-called ships, right? So it's like, if they have simulated gravity, they could send a little pod up and simulate light, or not even simulate. They would just have natural lighting in the little pod thing, and then the camera technically should work in theory, right?
I just think the internet is a beautiful thing. I think that now we have. I mean, of course, we've always had people who are critical of what history books and what the government and the media are telling us. But I think now it's just the certain ideas can be spread in a way that they couldn't before. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It just scares me, especially for our future. Like, at what point do we accept truth as truth? At what point do we say, okay, no matter what, so if you believe the earth is flat, that's your belief system. But at what point do we come together and say, like, this is definitive fact?
Yeah, like Paul said, it first of all, it's a theory. No one knows for sure. So I'm not definitively saying the earth is flat. I just say the evidence presented to me has led me to believe it is. Second of all, as far as what would make me accept the earth is whatever shape it is? Was that your question?
Well, not just the earth, but just anything. So,
Oh yeah, you said how far can we take it, right? So using the flat earth as an example, I guess let's start there. The easiest way is obviously have just commercialized space travel. I think that's really the only way at this point, because as Paul was saying, they have CGI. They openly admit to using green screens, wires, simulating certain things. I mean, some of the NASA employees have even said crazy things, and they have been denounced. NASA themselves have said, "Oh, they weren't with our company, whatever," right? But they have people that have said, "Oh, we recreated the moon landing footage on Earth because something about cameras malfunctioning or they're being fried by the Van Allen radiation belts." And it's like, okay, the Van Allen radiation belts works as an EMP, an electronic magnetic pulse, instantly frying all electronics. But somehow a human survived it. It didn't make any sense, right?
Have y'all heard of a guy named Bill Casey? He worked
Bill
for
Casey?
the Moon Project. Bill Casey. If y'all have it, I need y'all both to look him up after this video.
Is it like a CIA agent or something? I just looked it up. It is a CIA agent. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He talks about how everything was fake, how they threatening him to say that they actually landed the moon all those years ago. And he made a book and stuff on how everything was just fake.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but there was a guy who was in a similar situation. And they asked him, and he was a religious guy, and they asked him to swear on the Bible that they went to the moon. I think it was one of the guys from the original crew, and he couldn't do it. They're like, swear on everything you love. And he was talking about the moon landing, talking about this, and then they throw the Bible in his face and he just shuts down. Do you think that's enough, good evidence?
I don't know. I mean, it's not. I think it would. I don't know if it's possible to convince me that we didn't land on the moon. Also, don't know if it's possible to convince me that the Sandy Hook shooting never occurred. I think everybody's entitled to their own beliefs, which is all cool and stuff. It just scares me the fact that certain things aren't accepted as fact, or that we can live in a world where, and I think this is part of what's going wrong with our political system too, is that there's no longer objective facts, and people can invent their own realities and cherry pick evidence as they want to support whatever they have.
All right, can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Have you ever lied?
Have I ever lied?
Yeah.
I've lied before.
Okay. So do you think that people in power have ever lied? especially to
Actually,
protect themselves, make large sums of money, things of that nature. Like organizations that make billions of dollars a month, like NASA.
yeah, I don't think it's far fetched to say some things could be lies. I mean, obviously, like I'm a student of history, so I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. So like the COINTELPRO operations that happened in the 1960s, like those are, I think, some famous examples of some times that the government lied. Um, but I think at a certain point, sometimes things really are true, and sometimes, um, I mean, it's okay to be skeptical, but like sometimes it's better to, I don't, I guess I don't say believe, but I just, I think that it's scary to think about people can invent their own realities, whatever they think.
Okay. Yeah. So back to the inventing your own reality. What do you mean by that? Do you mean people are pulling things out of absolute nothingness, or can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think sometimes people really are like the Pizzagate scandal with Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and how they were kidnapping kids and keep them in their basement. I think that was completely invented out of nothing. I think that's absurd to say. I think the everything pretty much going on with Donald Trump now with the Russian Ukraine scandal is pretty outrageous. Um, that's the big one that's coming to my mind immediately. But just blatantly denying things that are obviously right in front of you, or like Paul mentioned, Bill Casey stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so um, things like saying, "Oh, we never landed to the moon or went to the moon," and I am going to pull facts from a man named Bill Casey on the internet and believe everything he says because I found it on the internet. So those are just like a couple examples of how you can invent your own reality.
Well, with the Bill Casey thing, and you're echoing kind of bad, so I couldn't really hear you right there. But I think you said that Bill Casey is just some guy on the internet. Did you say something like that?
He's more than just some guy on
I,
it.
did it.
He's more than that. You should really look up who this guy is.
Yeah, I was about to say this guy claims to be a director of Central Intelligence. So this guy worked closely with the CIA,
The
United
whole
States
project.
government, and in turn, NASA and other military organizations. So it's not just some guy on the internet, some crazy conspiracy.
Yeah, he was actually working through the whole program of they claiming they went to the moon. He was through that whole situation.
What if he? So is it too far fetched to say that he could be a disgruntled employee?
How though? Government. Yeah. What? How do you think the government could have wronged this guy? And we can just throw out theories here. None of these are 100% proven, or they're just allegations at this point. So okay, because it seems like he would have to. Yeah, I mean, him being a disgruntled employee is a possibility, but at the same time, what would his incentive be to want to destroy the government?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at him. I'm looking at it right now, and he died in office. So it's not like he was a former director of Central Intelligence. He literally died in 1987 while serving with the United States government.
They probably killed him.
He was like 74 years old. I guess that's old enough. I don't know.
Again, I have no clue, but I just think that.
So you don't believe that they said we went to the moon in the 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe that if we really went to the moon in the 60s, over the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, even now, that we wouldn't have, like, went further, we wouldn't travel more, we wouldn't have moon stations to the moon. Like, where's the development over the years if we really went to the moon?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Space
where's the
travel should be
development?
commercialized at this point. You should be able to buy a ticket right now and go to space. Think about how far technology has advanced since 1969, I believe, until 2019. It's just the thought of that is just so unrealistic that one sector of technology, which is space travel, for some reason regressed throughout time. It didn't stay the same, mind you. It regressed. They literally claim they don't know how to do it anymore. They can't do it. The technology back then they claim is better than the technology of today. That makes no sense. It has never been true in any other facet of technology, medicine, weaponry, anything.
I just want to know where's the progress if we went to the moon in the 60s. 2019. Where's the progress?
I just want to know where's the progress with Kanye West's album.
Great segue there.
Was not good.
Yeah, I literally got Spotify for that album. I like how we just dropped the other stuff. I got Spotify for it. Listened to like the first 2 songs, and it was like choir music. And I'm a pretty open minded. I can listen to really anything. And I was just thinking, like, it was like this weird in between. Like, it wasn't committed to being the Christian choir, Christian music, whatever you want to call it, but it wasn't committed to being hip hop either. It was like, it was like a mesh. It was like a weird motley crew of things that I never really wanted to hear.
It was just, and I actually texted Paul today and I said, rest in peace to his career, because I feel I'm a huge fan of gospel music. So first of all, the whole album is only 27 minutes.
His career is not done. I don't know why you say rest in peace. His career is not done.
I think it is.
He's still going to be known. He's still going to be big. People still going to buy his album.
Yeah, but the credibility he had in music.
He lost that a long time ago with Jesus. What was it called? Jesus?
Yeezy.
Or Yeezus, terrible.
I disagree. I like
that.
No,
that album was awful.
I liked it.
That was god awful.
This is crazy. And the crazy thing about it is it's not even a gospel album. Because it's like Kanye is trying to present himself as this person who has found the light. But if you really listen to the album, it's not about how close God is to him. It's about how close he is to God. So the crazy thing about the album is, in a messed up way, it's still about him.
It's like the typical narcissistic Kanye. And thanks for using the word gospel. That's the word I was looking for, not choir music. So, and speaking of Kanye and choirs, what do you think about his whole church thing that he's running? Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah. I heard he got his own Bible.
Yeah, he has his own Bible.
That's it. That's blasphemy.
He's trying to redeem himself from the slavery was a choice comment.
No, he's not trying to redeem himself. He think he is God.
Yeah, he calls himself Jesus, right?
Yeah, he thinks he's God.
I mean,
he thinks he's a high form of life. That's for sure.
And back to the. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, after hearing this today, he probably does, because it's just so bad. It's like nothing on there is new. It's like recycled music from his earlier projects, but done poorly.
You're gonna make me listen to this album now.
I mean, it's only 30 minutes. Yeah, you might as well grind it out.
Yeah, grind a half an hour out.
You'll be very upset.
I was upset with Jesus. Jesus, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Jesus.
I even liked his last. I liked his last
I
project.
love Pablo. I love that. I thought
No,
that was back.
I love the one after that one too.
I didn't hear that one. I didn't hear his newest one.
Now, back another conspiracy theorist moment from me. Now, my theory with the whole Kanye church thing, I think it's just to mock the masses. I don't believe that he's religious at all. Uh, Me and Paul have talked about this in the past. All celebrities are basically satanic sellouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing this to mock the masses and show how easily religious people can be controlled. Look, I'm Kanye. I'm a god. He even said it, right? He said himself, I'm a god.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, look, I can control all these people. It's so easy. All you need is, a face and a name, and you can control thousands, if not millions. So Kanye is essentially a cult leader at this point.
But it's true.
I disagree. I think if you look at his music over time, I mean, it's had religious themes, but I think this is his first full blown gospel album, and I just think the music we're getting from him now is the emperor has no clothes. Like he doesn't have all the collaborators, he doesn't have all the producers that he had. Um, so I think that what the music that we're getting from him now is basically just him trying to redeem himself.
I don't think it's him redeeming himself. He's just trying to do new shit. He think he's a god. He really does. I don't think he's trying to redeem himself. He had a great career. What did you redeem himself about?
And didn't you
He's pretty
say something about
though.
the? Didn't you say something about the slavery was a choice comment? Was that Paul
Yeah,
that
he
said
said
that?
that.
Oh, he wanted to redeem himself for that. So, was slavery a choice? I gotta ask you that question.
Was slavery a choice?
Yeah.
No. I think that when he said that and made that comment, I thought that was I don't even have words to describe the type of comment I thought that was.
Could you forgive me for me understanding where he came from?
Yeah. Because think about this. If
Uh,
I,
Yeah, let me explain why. Let me explain why. Why I kind of agree with him, but I kind of don't.
okay.
I, I believe if I was born in the slavery time, like I would not allow that. I'm not picking for this shit after Bill. I'm gonna gang up groups of people. They act like white people had superpowers or something. Why couldn't they gather their army and beat them up? Like, why? I felt like we gave up.
well,
So
I
the
see, I
reason
see both
okay,
sides of it actually.
Yeah, I
I
feel
see
like
both
we
sides
gave up.
because yes, you're right, but at the same time, where during slavery were you born during the timeline? Because you could have been brainwashed. This could have been a normality, right? That's like going to you today and saying don't pay taxes because taxes are illegal. You're gonna probably still pay your taxes, right? Because you've been brainwashed. If I don't pay my taxes, this is and this is gonna happen. But are you being fairly represented by the government? No, right? You don't
and,
determine where your
and
taxes go.
Paul
They
and
go
Paul
to
knows how.
wars.
So I'm gonna smack the back of his head after this.
Yeah.
Hey,
Um, I just think that whole comment about the slavery being a choice thing, I think that is completely an idiotic statement to make. I think for you to understand the depths of what the institution of slavery was at that time, like, first of all, like, there are instances of people being tortured in front of their families for even thinking about doing something like that. And so it was terrorism. The main tactic was fear and control. And so, no, there were some riots, like, well, I forgot his name, Nat Turner or
Yeah,
whoever,
you're right, Nat Turner.
but um, you could be tortured in front of your entire family just if someone suspected you were thinking about revolting or uh, not being a slave or whatever the terminology that Kanye used. So I think that was a completely stupid statement to make. I still think that his turn to gospel is an attempt to redeem himself from that.
It is.
From that,
I
okay.
mean,
It is
just
not.
from that comment. Comment was, I cannot explain how stupid that comment was. There's no
I don't
justification.
think he was trying to redeem himself for making this album. He always talked about religious stuff. It was coming. The album was coming.
Well, the slavery was a choice thing was stupid.
I think he actually believed that. I
But
don't think
well,
he's going to redeem himself
well,
for
yeah,
something.
he believes it, yeah. But by definition, slavery was a choice because the definition of choice is an act of selecting or making decisions when faced with two or more possible outcomes, right? So in this case, we have slavery or death, right? Or like you were saying, being tortured. That's kind of in the same category of death, fate worse than death. So by definition, it was a choice. It's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but like I was saying before, we have years, generations, and generations of brainwashing and it becoming a normality. So to come to that realization that you need to, as Paul was saying, rise up, get a couple of people together and fight the system. That wouldn't even be in your brain right now at that time. It's like what I was saying about the taxes, right? If I don't pay my taxes, I just go to jail for tax evasion, even though taxes are illegal. But if everyone starts to not pay their taxes, it's going to really shake up the fabric of the government, right? And they print the money. They don't care about you paying your taxes and stuff like that. We can get into who owns the banks, the Federal Reserves, and it all being fake numbers on a screen too. But back to the slavery comment, it was a choice by definition. Hate to let you know that, but that's it.
I completely disagree, and I think that
how is it not a choice?
It absolutely wasn't a choice.
That's like
saying that's like
yeah,
so
the first slaves ever could have
viable,
just started killing themselves, and then the next generation would just start killing themselves, and then the people that came to get the slaves would be like, man, we can't keep going back. Our product keeps killing itself.
Death is not a viable alternative, and by saying slavery
but it's
is
an
a choice,
option.
It is an option.
Oh, so it's a choice.
Option leads to choices.
Yes. We have to go with facts over emotion. We have to. It's messed up. I'm not saying that they should have became slaves or they should have killed themselves. Like I respect both sides.
Slavery. I don't think there is another side. Slavery was not a choice, and then I think the fact of Kanye even saying that stuff, or even I think that statement is.
And what was the context behind Kanye saying that? Like, it's irrelevant. I don't know why he said it either. I think it's stupid, but at the same time, it got me thinking, wait, it technically was a choice.
Ooh, I'm gonna make it.
Something else about slavery. Something else about the slavery being a choice thing. Also, when you say slavery was a choice, you're implying that people who Africans or Black Americans at the time who were captured as slaves or who were living in bondage, you didn't have other ways of resistance at the time. So just because they didn't all come together and kill all the white people doesn't mean that they didn't find other forms of active resistance that are still in practice today. So personally, I just think it's completely disrespectful. It's completely disrespectful to personally my ancestors. It's completely disrespectful to his ancestors, and the common is just ignorant.
I heard somebody else gets back. Bring it back.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Javon, do you believe during the time of slavery for years they just gave up and just took?
Absolutely not.
I believe they did.
They did. Yeah, they were broken. You were saying it yourself.
Yeah, they were broken.
Yeah, there were ways.
I don't believe they were broken the times of slavery. It just said this is life. This is how it's going.
Yeah,
absolutely not. And
there's
why
as sick as it is, there are literal terms that slave owners used to use called buck breaking. I'm pretty sure you know what that is. They strap okay, yeah, exactly. And that was a way to say, hey, we are the alpha, you have to take this. And they did.
They used to do it
too. I'm aware of that, but, and I think this is the beauty of, I think our people in the sense of yes, all of these terrible things did happen, but we formed ways of active resistance against them. For example, okay, when um, the house slaves used to go in and cook for the white people, they would give um, the slaves the leftover meat that was considered undesirable. From that meat, we have ribs, we have chitlins, we have all of these foods and things that are now widely celebrated as an American culture that were thrust upon us. But we took something that was undesirable and unwanted, and we made it into something. And to me, that's one example of an act of resistance. The black church, for example, um, black people weren't allowed to do anything. So on Sundays, they gathered together because that was the only day they didn't have to work, and they formed thriving communities. Um, and since we're talking about Kanye West and gospel music right now, that is where the influences of gospel music even came from. And those were all examples of active resistance. So black people, it was terrible things that happened to the slaves, but not every instance did they just lie down and take it. That's how we got the story of Moses. Moses was really Harriet Tubman, and the black people talked about the Underground Railroad in the Code of Moses. And so every time they talked about Moses, they were talking about Harriet Tubman, but they did it in a way that wouldn't catch the scrutiny of the white slave masters. We talked about Nat Turner just a few minutes ago. Nat Turner started out as a preacher, and what he did was he found all the pages of the Bible that the white people had ripped out, and he started preaching the part of the Bible that they didn't want the slaves to hear. And so back to the whole slavery is a choice thing. Um, the reason that I disagree with you is because the comment completely negates all those facts of there were instances, just like I just mentioned, of active resistance on the part of people who were living in bondage, and death was not a viable alternative. So yes, their bodies were in bondage, but a lot of people lived in a way where their minds weren't and their spirits were not. And that's all I'm gonna say about slavery was a choice.
Yeah, I was a little bit shocked you brought up. Would you say chitlins, ribs, this kind of stuff? Do you know what the number one killer of African Americans is?
Pork ribs,
Um,
stuff like that.
I mean, Paul kind of, yeah, it's heart disease and stroke due to diet and lack of exercise. So I was a little bit surprised you brought that up. So do you think that high pork consumption, fat, and such stuff like that is actually a negative that came from slavery?
Yeah.
I think it depends on how you look at it. I really do. Um, I think yes, I see your point. Um, but I guess my point with the comment about diet and chitlin and ribs and stuff is that we were, excuse me, we were able to take something as a people that was considered the scraps. People didn't want it. It was considered highly
Mhm.
undesirable. And we took it and we turned it into an American staple. We took it into and turned it into something that is worldwide. And now people, and now the implications on the health is a whole separate conversation, but we took it and turned it into something that is desirable, that people want to eat.
So, okay, so you're saying they took a negative and turned it into a positive. So, would you say that slavery is the best thing to happen to blacks in America?
Definitely not.
Okay. That was just a question I
I
thought
would
I'd
say,
throw out there.
yeah, I would say definitely not. I hope that's not what that sounds like. Um, I'm just using that example to show the resilience of Black people and really of the human spirit in general.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And another question: what do you think blacks would be doing if slavery never occurred? Just curious.
I really don't know, but I think that we would be um, really, really wealthy, living somewhere, being happy.
Okay. Okay.
I
So,
could tell you what happened if slavery never exists.
what is that?
Hollywood would be fair. We will have better entertainment.
Wait, what do you mean? Just all ran by Jews and whites like it is now?
It'll be ran by all type of people instead of just whites and Jews.
Oh, you're
I
saying
agree.
okay. I get what you're saying. So you're saying that there wouldn't be such a racist kind of thing going on
Yeah,
now. Yeah,
like
they
for
wouldn't.
years, black people died in the
Yeah, okay.
beginning of horror films and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Like you would actually see good stories. A lot of movies is based on race and shit. It's always a main white actor. Like you won't see that shit, and slavery never existed to me.
yeah. I
You would
actually agree. Yeah,
we have in the world today. That's a good point, Paul. I don't
yeah,
think we would see the poor outcomes and inequities that we see in the world today. I don't think there would be first world countries and second world countries. I think that there would be more equal distribution of wealth. I don't think, yeah, that's what I think.
I think entertainment would be better. That's me
yeah.
personally.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do they have like slavery movies and all this stuff? Like they couldn't rely on stereotypes and stuff like that.
Exactly.
They would just have to actually make legitimate movies. That, like you said, good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Entertainment will be way better because now they have to hire this white guy to play Superman or something. You know, back in the 50s or 60s, black people couldn't even go to comic book stores. That's terrible. So how many black people you think was actually working for Marvel and DC? Not many. Without slavery, maybe there would have been a black Superman first. You just don't know. Slavery's fucked up. And then with before slavery and shit, white people used to steal black people music.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
you
true. Yeah.
you just never know who would have been in Hollywood and stuff if slavery and shit never exists. But I'm only talking about it as an entertainment view. I think entertainment would be different.
You got some good video ideas for this because you said you were gonna make a video on the slavery was a choice. You gotta
I got another video.
have that bleed into the whole how the entertainment industry would be.
I got like 2 more videos.
There we go.
I'm loving this.
Yeah. So we got one more topic. I guess we can move on from that, and that is the dreads. The curious case of the cutting of the dreads.
I would have beat my daughter's ass.
Yeah.
So I think this is like what's his name?
Jesse Smollett.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is like kind of like this. Like I think there's so many instances of where stuff like this actually does happen. Why lie? Why lie about it?
Yeah,
it hurts the black community too.
Yeah, it hurts the real movement. It muddies the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then people will watch this and be like, see, blacks just like to play the victim. This isn't real. Yeah.
It hurts the movement. Yeah. It really did.
But then it also makes me think because earlier we talked about conspiracy theories and not just believing, what the media is telling you. And this is one instance where I actually find myself believing a little bit of maybe some conspiracy, like there might be something in the background going on because, maybe this school's administration pressured this little girl to say she lied, or they pressured her family, or they paid her family off. So,
that's good point. Yeah, because trust no one, right? Because the whole thing could be they paid her a couple of $1,000 in hush money and she disappeared. The school doesn't look racist and they're good.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense for her to lie about something like that. A little kid lying about getting her hair cut off.
I guess attention.
That sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, when the story was told, she was very descriptive about how it happened and the people who did it. So, I mean, unless she just completely made the whole thing up, which I don't really see. I don't know. I think it might be her family might be kind of greedy or something, and they just want some money, and they came and maybe her family couldn't afford the tuition. The tuition is $12,000 a year, so maybe her family said if you want to continue to go to school, you have to say you lied, so they'll pay your tuition or something.
Yeah, good point.
But if she was just lying and shit, if that was my daughter, I would have to beat her ass just because of what blacks went through, and you're just making it harder for the movement to lie like that. I would have to.
Yeah. I don't know about the beating her ass, but yeah, definitely hurt though. Exposing racism movement.
Hell yeah. I'm old school. I believe in capital punishment. That's why this society today, the kids is bad and crazy as shit because they don't get ass whoopings like they used to.
I do agree. People today are a lot softer. Yeah.
Exactly. I got my ass whooping almost every day, and half the time I deserved it.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. Maybe that's your next video topic, like corporal punishment in the black community, because honestly, I don't think it's effective.
But yeah, I was about to say you have to ask yourself how far is too far though, because I mean I've seen videos of moms beating the shit out of their daughters with pipes and wires, anything anything they can get their hands on. I'm like, this is not looking good. I don't care if your daughter twerked on World Star and 2 million people saw it. For you to film the video and do this, it's not only shaming your daughter, but it's, as Paul and we've all said, it kind of makes blacks look like savages, and then in turn it makes racism a little bit stronger, right? Can you imagine being somebody who's never had an interaction with the black person? I know this is a cliche argument, and then that's your only kind of view of them. Just I see them in World Star beating the shit out of their kids.
I'm about to interrupt you.
Yeah.
We talked about how America would have been without slavery. What if parents brutalized their kids throughout history because their master brutalized them, and this is just another product of slavery that just keeps coming back generation after generation.
Yeah, I've heard
why we can't get out of
I've heard theories of this. It's called post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Yeah.
Maybe so this is still part of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I mean I've heard theories about that, theories about how black women want to get white men so they can have a mixed child, and for some reason it makes them seem more valuable. I've read up on all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So yeah, we could do a post-traumatic slave syndromes show next. This one's headed up on an hour. Do you guys want to end it now, or you want to wrap it?
I think we should end it now. Yeah. And I almost think that you should make 3 videos out of this.
Yeah, because exactly. Because
it was the topic was just too out of it. It was too
because we went on a tangent a little bit with the conspiracy theories, and then we tied it back to the Kanye thing. So yeah, this is definitely 3 videos right here.
Yeah, tell me when the videos is uploaded so I can watch them. I can't wait to watch them.
Yeah, this one's good for sure.
Yeah, this is really good.
I think that's it. Let's get these outros out the way. I'm Upward Ninja, your neighborhood coon.
The Fallen King, out for revenge.
Come on.
Do better, honey.
Okay.